Langrisser is one of those RPG series that I've managed to completely miss until right now. I've known the name for years, I know it has a long history, and I know it helped establish a style of tactical RPG combat that plenty of people still like today. But despite being a massive fan of JRPGs and RPGs and all that stuff, I've never actually sat down and played one. But after watching the latest trailers for Langrisser Sea of Sword, I think I may have finally found my way into the series. Sea of Sword is a completely new and independent title within the Langrisser series, and rather than expecting new players to understand decades of characters and history and all that stuff, it introduces so much new content, and this makes it feel like a great starting point for somebody like me. So I'm excited to be partnering with Langrisser, Sea of Sword, and Blackjack Studio for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave your thoughts down below. You excited for this? I actually think it looks pretty good, so let's get to the video. So what exactly is Langrisser? I mean, if you don't know, Langrisser was released in Japan back in the early 90s before eventually coming to North America under the name Warsong. One of the defining ideas behind this series is that you're not just moving individual heroes around a grid. Each commander could lead their own soldiers with the troops available to them depending on that hero's class. So it's a tad more deep in terms of gameplay when compared to something like Fire Emblem, for example. That mixture of important named characters and the larger armies serving underneath them has become one of the series' major tactical pillars. And as somebody who's completely new to all this, I think this is a great point of difference for this game. You're not just thinking about one hero, you're thinking about the entire unit they command, the type of soldiers supporting them, and how that group fits into the larger battle. And by the looks, Sea of Sword is taking that original concept and expanding it in some pretty ambitious ways. Now, the biggest new addition here shown in the trailer is what Blackjack Studio is calling the dual generals and dual soldiers system. Instead of placing one general in charge of each unit, you can deploy two of them together. One serves as a commander while the other becomes kind of their lieutenant. The soldiers associated with both of those can be mixed together within the same squad. So without having played a Langrisser before, I can immediately see how much flexibility that would create within battles. And rather than choosing a character purely because you like their individual abilities, you'll also need to consider what other general could complement them. Their available soldiers, skills, and tactical roles can all be combined, potentially turning two fairly straightforward characters into a much more versatile unit. So if you're somebody who likes a game that actually makes you think and challenges you, this is going to be it. And this is exactly the kind of system I love in a tactical style RPG. It might sound easy enough to understand when you first begin, but it also seems like something you could spend hours experimenting with as more characters and possibilities open up. Now, while I'm not 100% informed yet on the history of these games and who the main heroes are, it feels like Blackjack Studio is trying to create something that welcomes new players without abandoning the people who have been following this series for years. So I'm really looking forward to diving deep into the rest of the series beyond the little bit of research I've done prior to making this video. Now, as you know, with games like this, terrain has always been an important part of how you play, but Sea of Sword is making it something that you can actively interact with and destroy. Battles will take place on a ton of different environments, each with their own mechanics and things to consider on the tactics front. Elevation can affect the outcome of confrontation, so where you position a unit may matter just as much as the strength of the characters. And the destruction system is where things look pretty interesting. During siege battles, you may tear down sections of the wall rather than attacking through the most obvious entrance. And bridges can also be destroyed, potentially cutting off an enemy route or sending the units standing on them falling into the environment below. So that means terrain can become another weapon you can use, giving you a little bit of extra strategy there. I'm also hoping this creates objectives that go beyond simply defeating everybody on the map. I mean, the trailer emphasizes fortified areas, elevation clashes, and all that destruction. All that stuff suggests that you've got to have a pretty good understanding of the battlefield, and it's going to be a major part of finding the best path to victory. And the presentation of those battles looks surprisingly large in scale as well. So there's a real sense that these are military forces colliding rather than two isolated characters trading attacks. And again, that's a really great point of difference for me. I just like how everything's being presented here. The part of Sea of Sword that interested me the most, however, is actually what happens outside of the battles. Rather than following a linear sequence of story scene, battle, story scene, and then another battle, Sea of Sword allows you to properly explore the world, and I'm a sucker for some in-game exploration. The gameplay trailer shows characters travel through towns and forests and other areas, and you can speak to NPCs, gather stuff, and discover environmental puzzles and solve them, unlock side stuff, and encounter some hidden events too. So that makes this feel less like a collection of disconnected tactical stages and more like a complete fantasy RPG. You're moving through the world yourself, discovering what there is and where to go next. It's a great way to actually connect with the game outside of what is likely going to be a very fun and addictive gameplay loop. Now, as far as the story goes, you play as the Nameless One, a protagonist searching for their lost memories. The developers have described it as a story of memory, choice, and defiance, rather than being a straightforward tale of a young hero setting out to defeat an obvious evil. You're starting at the bottom, surrounded by political schemes, shifting loyalties, and nations that can rise or fall depending on the choices being made around them. I'm curious about how much control we will have during those events, though. The trailer and the official description both place heavy emphasis on difficult decisions, so I'm hoping that choices we make will affect relationships and maybe even the direction of the story, which will give us some great replay value too. That kind of political storytelling feels so natural in terms of a match for a tactical RPG. I mean, when the plot is centered around armies and competing nations, every battle can feel like part of something much larger than the immediate objective on the screen. It also helps explain why the exploration feels so important. You're not wandering around because the game needs something to have you do between battles. I mean, you are moving through a continent where every location and everything else could matter to the larger conflict of the story. Now let's talk about the visual aesthetic and the music. I mean, starting with the visuals, this is a gorgeous anime aesthetic, and I'm so here for it. The character illustrations are striking for sure, but the environments are really standing out to me. Towns and forests and battlefields all have this nice textured, almost storybook quality to them, which helps the world feel very distinct, and again, I'm a big fan of that. And the music here is being composed by Yasunori Nishiki, best known for his work on the Octopath Traveler series. I mean, that alone is going to get plenty of people to pay attention, and if the music in the gameplay trailer is anything to go by, we are in for a serious treat. Nishiki has become known for these sweeping, emotional, orchestral scores that can make exploration feel really adventurous and major battles feel huge. Sea of Swords seems to be giving him plenty of room to deliver something similarly ambitious, and for a game built around political conflict, big armies, and an entire continent waiting to be explored, I mean, it's a no-brainer why he's scoring this game, and I'm really excited to hear more. So as somebody who's never played Langrisser before, what has me interested isn't the history behind the name, and I do love being able to explore the series now. It's the fact that Sea of Sword appears to be taking the series' defining ideas and building a much larger game around them. You still have generals leading squads of soldiers, class relationships, and a large-scale tactical battle thing, but all of those systems are being expanded through dual commanders, destructible environments, and battlefields where positioning can change everything in battle, and so much more. And then outside of combat, you've got towns to explore, people to meet, hidden events to discover, and a territory that grows alongside your journey. And that sounds like an incredibly ambitious experience here, and I think it's going to be something special. And for longtime fans, any returning heroes or familiar tactical systems will naturally be a major part of that appeal for you. But for people like me who have always been curious about Langrisser without knowing where to begin, Sea of Sword looks like it could be a really great entry point. So I'm going to leave some information down in the description. You can go wishlist this and just get interested in it because it looks like a really genuinely fun game. And I'm pretty keen to latch on to a new series that, again, I haven't really known a lot about, but I just love that I have an excuse to deep dive on something that has so many years of history. So I think it's going to be a wonderful experience. And yeah, can't wait to check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.